it turns out that aerobic exercise can fundamentally change the brain in a way that can combat depression, that can combat stress and anxiety. And this is not just kind of feel good, yay, we're moving and I feel better about myself. This is actual biological processes that are changing the brain. And it turns out in ways that are very similar to antidepressants, and for the same reasons. So aerobic exercise can create what's called neurogenesis in a part of the brain called the hippocampus. And the hippocampus is associated with depression. That's where depression lives, the hippocampus and the amygdala. And it turns out that aerobic exercise promotes the growth of brand new neurons in the hippocampus of the brain. And the growth of those new neurons is associated with the reduction or prevention of depression. So that's one beautiful byproduct of aerobic exercise. The other is that aerobic exercise tamps down what we call the stress response. And everyone's kind of familiar with stress hormones and the stress response. Well, it's a very specific thing in the body, and it begins in the brain with the hypothalamus, and then it goes to the pituitary gland, and then finally to the adrenal glands. And that's called the HPA axis. And it's that axis that releases the stress hormones into the body. And aerobic exercise tamps down that HPA axis. So by engaging in aerobic activity, you both boost neurogenesis in the brain, which can then prevent or reduce depression, and you also reduce the stress response, which is also highly associated with depression. So through aerobic exercise, you can fundamentally change anxiety or stress-related disorders and depression. And there are studies showing that aerobic exercise is at least as effective as the best antidepressants.